Hey guys, welcome to Retro Media Release. I am Anthony. This is Collectors Entertainment Network, and this is where we look at retro media releases. It is sort of a sister show to DVD Deep Dive, where that show shows DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Basically the modern stuff, even though DVD is well over 20 years old at this time. But we still look at DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks on DVD Deep Dive. Retro Media Release is a sister show to that, where we look at anything before DVD. Okay, so 2 weeks ago on Retro Media Release, we looked at the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies on VHS, Beta, and Laserdisc. And then last week on DVD Deep Dive, we looked at many Back to the Future DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K releases. And I promise you that this week on Retro Media Release, did you get all that? We'd look at some Back to the Future Laserdiscs. Before we jump into that, I would like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you back. Please like this video. Please comment down below. Let me know your experiences with either Back to the Future the movie, or just with Laserdisc, or with the Back to the Future Laserdiscs. And of course, please share this with anyone you think may like it as well. All right, let's get into the Laserdiscs. All right, here we go. But first, I want to say that this is going to be a shorter video than the last Retro Media Release. That we looked at Superman 1 through 4. We looked at them on Beta, on VHS. We looked on Laserdisc. There was a lot to cover. Here, I'm basically just covering 4 different Laserdiscs releases, which are the ones I have. I have the entire trilogy in the widescreen release, or letterbox release. And then I've got Back to the Future in the original pan and scan release. So, and that is what we're going to start with first. Here is the original Back to the Future release, which came out, I believe, in 1986. The movie, of course, came out in 85, but I mean the Laserdisc itself came out in 1986, and that is this one. Let's take a look at the disc. Nothing major, just how do we do this? There we go. Back to the Future. And Back to the Future side 2 fits on one disc, 2 sides. The runtime must be just about 2 hours, just under 2 hours, I believe. But there you go. That is Back to the Future, the pan and scan full frame edition, the first release. Let's take a look at the letterbox release. Okay, here is Back to the Future Letterbox. This is MCA Universal. This is the way all their letterbox releases looked at the time. You have basically the poster art, but you have it in a sort of letterboxed aspect ratio of that, and then you just have a star field in the back. Here is your back. And here, again, is the front. Let us take a look at the disc. Again, this is on one disc. This has a nice paper sleeve with the plastic inside. All right, here is the label. There you go, Back to the Future Letterbox. Side 1, and here is side 2, Back to the Future Letterbox. Okay, now, just a brief story about this. I went with my sister and her boyfriend at the time. She was much older than me. I was 8 years old. She's 10 years older than me, so she was 18. And we actually went to the movie theater because he was a big action movie fan. We went to see Red Sonja. Now, I was 8 years old. I shouldn't have been going to see that. But it was sold out. So they were like, all right, you want to go see this Back to the Future movie? You know, it's got, Alex P. Keaton in it. Let's go check that out. Of course, we went to it. We loved it. Everyone in the audience loved it. It was early in the release. And then I remember months and months later that my parents went to see it. And I was like, because everyone had been talking about it, I was like, you got to take me. So that was my original introduction to Back to the Future. Just sort of seeing it on a whim, being blown away by it at 8 years old. And then, of course, seeing it again a few months later, because it was in the theater for a good run. Seeing it a few months later with my parents. All right, let's get on to Back to the Future 2. All right, Back to the Future 2. And like I was just saying, that we just sort of saw it on a whim. Hey, Alex P. Keaton's in it. It looks fun. It looks, good. This I went to see, I think I wanted to see it opening day. I know I saw this one opening day, but we'll get to that in a second. But this one, I believe I went to see it opening day, opening night, whatever you want to call it. Back to the Future 2, which is my second favorite in the trilogy. They go in order. I know a lot of people skip over this because it's weird or whatever, but I love Back to the Future 2. I love Back to the Future 3 as well. It's just, I hate saying it's my least favorite because I love it. It's just, I just love it less than the other two. I love Back to the Future. To me, Back to the Future, the original, is just a perfect movie. I love Back to the Future 2 for its sort of wackiness and everything. Anyway, yeah, so here's the front. Again, same thing, letterbox edition. Here's the back. And then here is the disc. You've got side 1, and you've got side 2, Back to the Future. Yeah, I don't know. I just love Back to the Future 2, second best. You can't beat the original, but I do love Back to the Future Part 2 so much. And interesting side note, we all know that Claudia Wells wasn't in the sequels, and she was replaced by Elisabeth Shue. Here's a little secret. Although she's never met her, she's actually my wife's second cousin. She's actually my mother-in-law's second cousin, so she would be my wife's second cousin once removed. My mother-in-law has met Elisabeth Shue because they're second cousins and back before she was famous, and they all lived in Pennsylvania or whatever. So she had met her, but my wife's never met her because my wife obviously is much younger than that. But yes, it's fun because now I get to tell whenever Elisabeth Shue's in a movie or whatever, my kids now, I go, yeah, there's your cousin. They get a kick out of it, so it's kind of cool. I've never met her again. My wife's never met her even, but my mother-in-law has because, like I said, they're second cousins. Anyway, that's a little side note. Don't worry about it. Let's get on to Back to the Future Part 3. All right, Back to the Future Part 3, the final installment in the Back to the Future trilogy. Here again is the letterboxed edition. Here we go. Now, this is different because this is actually on 2 discs. And if you actually look over here, chapter stops. Side 1, theatrical trailer part 1. Chapter 2, theatrical trailer part 2. And then chapter 3, feature presentation. You see that there. So they put a couple trailers on it. And then you go with the feature after that. But this is on 2 discs. This comes in another cardboard, like a thick cardboard sleeve. And then from there, it just comes with the big plastic ones. Back to the Future Side 1, Side 2, Side 3, and then Side 4. Everyone who knows Laserdiscs knows. Program material has been recorded only on other side of this Laserdisc. Which ironically means it's actually on this disc, this side, because the laser reads from underneath. But that's neither here nor there. So, that is Back to the Future Part 3. Now, I showed you Back to the Future Part 1 in full screen. I thought I had Parts 2 and 3 in full screen as well, but I guess I don't. Because I can't find them, and I've only got I've got a couple of boxes of Laserdiscs over there, and then I've got this sort of entertainment center where there's 2 cabinets, and on the bottom shelf, there's Laserdiscs. Other than that, I don't have any Laserdiscs, or, what's back here, part of the set. But, other than that, I don't have Laserdiscs all over the house. So, I have 2 boxes over there, with stuff, and then I've got these 2 shelves right here. So, I guess I never did get the pan and scan versions. I thought I did, for collecting reasons, but I guess I didn't. Alright, we're just about done with it. I know this is a quick video, so for one more time, I'll just go through them real quick. Back to the Future. The full frame version, front and back. Here is Back to the Future, the Letterbox edition, front and back. Let's get to Back to the Future Part 2, Letterbox edition, front and back. And then, of course, Part 3, Back to the Future Part 3, Letterbox edition, front and back. Okay, so next week will be another episode of DVD Deep Dive, and then we'll follow that a week later with another retro media release. I do these on Tuesdays because, as anyone who has been buying movies for years and years knows, Tuesday's new movie day. So that's why we do it on Tuesday. Now, granted, it's YouTube. You can watch it whenever you want. Once it's dropped, it's there forever or until I take it down. But I do release them on Tuesdays for that specific reason. You know, new release Tuesday. So that's why we do DVD Deep Dive and Retro Media Release on Tuesdays. Okay, that's it for now. Guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Please comment down below. And please share this with anyone you think may like it as well. All right, that's it for this week. Until next time, have a good one.